I am currently pregnant with baby number 7, and I will be 41 when this baby is born. And I just want to talk about what are some things that I worry about as somebody who's been working in the field with women's health for over 12 years, pregnant with number 7, with lots of experience, from working with hundreds of clients. And what are things I used to worry about and things I don't worry about anymore, and what I do now worry about. If you're new here, I'm Rita Johnson. I'm the owner of Health and Hormones, and here you'll find all things from fatigue solutions, period help, digestive support, and so much more. Let's dive in. So my oldest is 17. So my first pregnancy, I was 23 years old. And when I delivered him, I knew very little. I think I read a pregnancy book or two, but I really didn't dive deep into how can I have a good, beautiful labor experience. What can I do to support my body? And what I knew in my day-to-day was a lot less than what I know how to do now. And so when I look back on my first few pregnancies, my first 4 were all in my 20s. Baby number 4 was born right before I turned 30. And I look back at that time, and I definitely had a lot more concerns about, would I ever get back into shape again? Would I ever be able to, XYZ in the future because of what my body was going through as a result of the stress of pregnancy? Whereas now, I definitely have gotten to a place of much more peace with that. I know that it's going to be hard work. I know that the postpartum season is going to be a little slower than I would like it to be. We think that as soon as we give birth that we're going to lose, 15 pounds, and then it's just going to be this gradual decline from there. And sometimes yes, but sometimes we do need a little more support in that postpartum season. And I've had a whole range of those. And so just knowing that is part of the process. So things that I used to worry about were definitely things like, how old would I be when I would stop having babies because of the risk factors being so much higher, or not feeling well because I've had so many pregnancies. But the reality is that with baby number 7 in my 40s, I feel so much better than I did with any of my pregnancies in my 20s. And a part of it is because of the way that I carve out my ability to be able to eat full, nutritious, nutrient-dense meals. I'm working on supporting my muscle health. I really like to think of my exercise routine in pregnancy as training for a marathon, which is essentially what we're doing, right? So I'm still trying to walk 2 miles daily. I'm still trying to strength train 3 times a week. And there are times that I show up and it is not working well. I didn't sleep good the night before, or the exercise that I had planned on doing, I'm just feeling really low energy, or it's really hard to pick up those weights. They feel like an extra load of lead has been added onto my regular numbers. And on those days, I just tell myself that it's so good that I showed up. That even if I just get in a third of the reps I would have normally gotten in, I'm still supporting my body, supporting baby, and really helping to set us up for a positive birth experience. And, postpartum as well, right? The more muscle we have showing up to birth, the more that postpartum is going to be smoother as well. Now, that being said, there's always going to be its challenges, and there's always going to be things that we cannot anticipate. But if I can show up on the days that I am feeling well, I just have a greater amount of peace around knowing that those days will come and that will be okay. And in the meantime, I'm just going to keep supporting my body as well as I can. So one thing that I do worry about more now, being in my 40s, is my blood sugar. Gestational diabetes is on the rise as we get over 40, and that's something we really have control over. It's something that I think we don't talk about enough. It feels like we're just a victim of our bodies if we have gestational diabetes, but the reality is that we can do things like wear a continuous glucose monitor and see what are some of those things that are spiking my blood sugar, that are causing me to go really low, and how can I balance that better so that I can prioritize not only my optimal health, but also baby's, and baby's ability to grow at a steady, consistent rate instead of accelerating baby's growth, which is definitely something I'm thinking about as I'm training for that marathon of birth. And so being mindful of that, one thing that I've been doing this pregnancy, and I will do, is I wore a continuous glucose monitor in my first trimester. I'm going to wear it again in my second, so I'm going to do that in another week or two, and then I'm going to do it again in my third trimester around the time that I enter into my third trimester. So allowing for that really good perspective, I find for me, I don't need to wear one all the time. I start to see like, oh, when I ate that for a snack, that wasn't so great for my body. But when I ate this or this meal, I slept really well throughout the night, which for me is very correlated with my blood sugar being balanced or not. Also, the other thing that's helping us to do is to be able to see how we can have more consistent output of energy. It's naturally going to wane as we get into our third trimester, but just allowing for that additional level of support for our body and insight into what our blood sugar is doing in those times can help carry us through the rest of that as well. Things beyond that, things like, is something possibly wrong with baby because I'm older? Are there other issues that could be at play? I tend to really just bring this to the Lord. My husband and I both have sisters that have special needs. My sister's was genetic, and my husband's sister was not. She actually contracted spinal meningitis in the hospital. And I just have found that although that was something that was a deep fear of mine when I was younger, that the more that I've just given it up to the Lord, the more peace He's given me. And everybody does this differently, whether they decide to do the genetic testing earlier in pregnancy or not. I have just found that if the Lord is calling us to that, He'll give us the grace when we need it to be able to cross that bridge when we get there. And so it's not something my husband and I have done additional genetic testing on. And that's a very personal decision for everyone to make, and I totally get that. I just wanted you to know where I'm at and some things that I have decided no longer to worry about, or to be able to put on the back burner and just say, you know what, I'm going to trust in the Lord that this is still working. He blessed us with another new life, and we're just going to celebrate that and rejoice that even now we still get to enjoy new life around our home. And the way that these little ones enrich our relationships with our teenagers, with our older children, has just been so beautiful and so powerful that I encourage you as well, if you feel reluctant, like, oh, I already have these kids, I'm long out of the diaper stage. We've been there. We had a 5-year gap and a 4-year gap. And now we'll have two back to back that are just 2 years apart. And you know what, I'm not going to tell you there's not those days and those moments that I'm like, oh, 2 car seats, or oh, 2 diapers. But the reality is that when I sit down and hang out with my 17-year-old and my 15-year-old and we're watching the toddler play, it's so beautiful to watch how they interact with the toddlers and the babies, and also to be able to know that I'm going to have them to be able to snuggle as my older people leave the house. Not that they'll ever replace them, but just to be able to enjoy this season of life a little longer. My husband and I just consider a complete gift. So I hope this helps you, especially if you're discerning being open to life later in life, and to see that there's so much we can do to support our body. It does not mean that you're just going to feel unwell, and there's so much we can do from here. If you like this content, please like and subscribe for more content from me, and let me know below what is something you'd like to hear more about.